everyone, I'm your girl Cynthia, but you know you can call me Gigs, and I'm from The Political Show. And with me on the round table, square table, we've got...
It's got round bottles.
Yes, got round
I've got a round chair.
Right, yes. We've got...
Gavin Ensslin.
Pastor Gavin Ensslin and...
The Black Knight.
In case you've never seen The Black Knight before, here's The Black Knight. And so we've recently released a show.
He would be qualified in America to be part of Black Lives Matter.
Right, that is true. So we recently released a show that speaks about the consequences of the lockdown. We looked at it in Africa, so we looked at South Africa and Nigeria, and then we also looked at the consequences in Europe. And we had quite a brief discussion about the lockdown.
It's not been that brief. We've been talking about this since March.
So it is quite. I mean,
Yeah.
The Political Show has been doing.
Now, we've been freaked out by lockdowns.
Yes, we have.
And it's only now that the World Health Organization is catching on.
Right? I think they watched
They
one
should
of our
have.
shows.
They must have listened to us and the situation.
That is true. And then
On
like,
Active
oh,
TV,
this is
yeah.
what's happening. So we are going to do a very short version of the show here. We're going to be focusing on 5 points, and that is the economic cost of the lockdown in South Africa. And we're going to look at 5 specific points in terms of the economy of South economy. That is it, the economy of South Africa. And so we're going to be discussing that. So the first thing is the net number of South Africans in the workforce dropped by 5.2 million during the second quarter of 2020.
That's it's not shocking.
Well, it's not surprising, but it is shocking.
For both.
I mean, that's 5 million households, Black Knight, with all due respect, where they've just lost their jobs. The income's gone. They must go buy chips, potatoes, and
I just think
milk.
that the not shocking is out of the whole thing of the lockdown. I knew such is gonna happen because, like, I'm.
And it's not like you're a prophet.
Yeah, no. It's just being a South African and being within the people that in the middle class, lower class, and the upper class. I have the opportunity to be around all of them, and just from that, when I heard lockdown, I freaked out. Because from the lower class, there's people who are living from hand to mouth. From the middle class, there's people who are just depending on their work salary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they're up to you in debt.
So
If they don't get paid 2 months, they lose their house.
yes. So it's for me. It's both. It's not shocking and it's surprising to me. I knew this was.
Well, no. What's surprising to me is that people didn't
Oh,
realize
they didn't
this.
see this. Yes. Now that could
is
be
surprising.
that is
That
surprising.
yeah.
Especially the people who are working.
Yep.
That is.
Okay, then the second one is the poorest 50% of workers, those who live hand to mouth, were affected 10 times worse than the richest.
Yeah, now they blame that on white supremacy and apartheid and all, but it's always going to be your poorest 50%. If you're going to do something like a lockdown, you're going to hammer those guys first.
Yeah, that is true.
It's always going to be. I mean, if you look in our areas, how many of the flats, the apartment buildings and all of that are standing empty because of the lockdown?
Yeah.
People have lost their incomes. We heard from a restaurant owner in, I think, a week or two ago, that in South Africa, over 700 restaurants have closed.
Sure.
Over. So it's not 700, it's more than 700. Now, in an economy like South Africa, that's a lot of restaurants. Okay? And there's also another stat now that South Africa used to have about 130,000 farmers. We've now got just under 40,000.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of challenges, and the lockdown has hastened all of these challenges.
Yeah.
So it's over 2 million people lost their jobs permanently.
Yeah.
They're not coming back.
They're not coming back, yeah.
And I believe there's still gonna be more people who are gonna lose their jobs.
I know, it's only just started.
Yeah.
We spoke
about it.
We spoke about that in the show.
We did, yes. And
There's a second wave of unemployment coming.
and then
It's not funny. It's not funny, but it's a joke.
We're not. It's a joke, but we're not laughing. Either we can laugh or we can jump out the window and kill ourselves. So we rather laugh because we're Christians. We don't believe in
We
suicide.
have hope.
Okay,
Yes,
and then the
not
third one
dope.
is
Ah.
and then the the third one is GDP dropped by 16.4% between the first and the second quarter, leading to an annualized growth rate of negative 51%.
Negative 51%, yes. And obviously, now I see that the I'm not sure if it's IMF or one of these world financial bodies, World Bank or someone, predicted that we're going to have a negative growth rate of 7%. And I'm thinking, how? How's the economy only going to contract by 7% compared to last year? First of all, we were already in a disaster economically before this lockdown. Okay? And now that you lock everything down, you plunge the taxes down, you increase government spending. It's like, I'm sure any person knows, and the reason why anyone should have known this is going to be a problem. If you stop working, it's nice the first day,
It is.
it's nice the whole first month, you still got money.
Yeah.
Then you come to the next month's rent. Oops. Suddenly you haven't got money to pay the rent. Now you start selling stuff. And then maybe you last for 2-3 months with that,
Yeah.
and now you run out of stuff to sell. You're trying to sell those old slippers, no one wants it. You understand what I'm saying? So the thing is, it should have been obvious to all
Yeah.
that this is an unimaginably bad policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also we've taken on this ideology in South Africa we will receive from the government. We'll just get.
Yeah.
And we'll just
Where's the
give
government
us
gonna
and
get
give
the
us and
money?
give us and yeah. So when
Yeah.
we heard 500 billion rand towards the pandemic, we're like, yeah, we're gonna get money. And when I say we, I speak as a
The
country.
population,
Yeah. We're gonna get the money and all of these things and that mentality actually caused them
Yeah,
not
but
to
now
think
for
about
many
their
the
own
money
jobs.
didn't come.
Yeah.
And they organized food.
Yeah.
What happened next thing? There's government officials offloading the food
Yeah.
into a garden.
Sure.
What's said about that, I'm not proud of this because my household, I have like ANC people in there and they part of the ANC with the whole thing. Do you know what was funny? Because I know that this is true that people didn't receive food because in my house, the food was coming there and we didn't even need that food.
Sure.
But people, the people that are in that ANC thing, they were taking the food for themselves.
Yeah. So yeah.
So, but yours is not ANC leaders.
No.
No.
It's
It's just low level ANC.
So what happened with the leaders?
I actually had a debate with them in the house to tell them that this is why the government is doing this because you're doing the same thing. But I actually found out that it's actually a mentality that they all have that when we're in power, we're just there to take because we don't know how long we're gonna be there.
Yeah.
So they're not actually there to change anything. They're actually waiting for the opportunity to steal because they don't know how long they're gonna be there.
But isn't that how the average person is
Yeah. Exactly.
in South Africa?
Yeah. So now the
Sorry,
last
thieves elect thieves into power.
two, that is true. Yeah.
And then they complain.
Yeah.
Then the thieves complain about the big thieves. Because you steal a little bit and they steal billions.
Okay, now and the second last one is in April, 47%.
Oh, sorry, about the GDP drop rate. I'm thinking with the whole farming thing that's happening now, that's also gonna affect it.
Is
Yeah.
So it's actually gonna go down too. Sure.
Now in April, 47% of the respondents in a national survey indicated that they had no money for food by the end of the month. And we just spoke about that.
Yes.
And that is because, hey, you lost your job. And after a month of sitting and relaxing and not doing anything, it's not like you chose to relax. I mean, the lockdown
No,
caused.
you relaxed or you went to jail.
Yeah.
Or in some cases got killed.
Yeah, so 47% in April. That was in April. Now imagine now, you're sitting in October, towards the end of October, and how many people are actually saying that they don't have the money. And we live in the south of Johannesburg, and we actually see all the people that are suffering from the lockdowns. Then the last one is businesses all over South Africa closed their doors for good as lockdown restrictions made operations impossible, forcing them into bankruptcy.
Yeah, many businesses have closed
Yeah.
and they're not coming back.
They're not.
And that's the problem. That's why we were speaking about there being a second wave.
Yeah.
Because those businesses are not coming back.
Yeah.
And then also there's an ideological thing within people that want socialism. To say that the things like the lockdown, you bring the economy down so you can rebuild it up. but then people start starving to death, and that's the world and the country needs a church, because the world leaders are showing the folly of human thinking. They've made it abundantly clear how stupid human thinking is if you don't, if you don't look at it in the light of the Bible. And maybe that's why we weren't conned, because we were looking at the Bible, and disease is going to come, and you can't stop it by destroying the economy. And in fact, you destroy the economy, now people are malnourished, now they get sick, because the moment someone's not malnourished, what happens to the immune system? It collapses. When it collapses, something like COVID comes along, they get sick, and the smallest infection can kill them.
That's true.
You know, so at the end of the day, this has been a huge wake-up call in my view for the world. You better get back to God. I'm telling all of you out there, you better get back to God. Listen to me.
True.
Listen to the pastor. You better get back to God, because at the end of the day, we make stupid decisions when we don't look at things in the light of the Bible.
That's basically it. So if you want to listen to more, you have to, or you want to know more, you have to listen to the show. It's called, quote, "I'd rather die of COVID than be alone." I know it sounds like it's got nothing to do with the lockdowns, but it definitely has. So go listen to the show. You know you can catch us on www.activefm.co.za. You can also catch us on Google Podcasts and on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And on Instagram, we are at ActiveFM777. And on Facebook... Instagram, yes. Yeah, what they did.
And Facebook.
Yes, and then on Facebook you can catch us /ActiveFM, and we're on Twitter.
And Paula.
Oh, we're on Paula at ActiveFM. And on Twitter at ActiveFM. So comment there, download our shows on our platforms, and thank you for watching the roundtable discussion with the political show.
Aren't we on YouTube as well?
We are on YouTube. You can also catch us on YouTube. I'm your girl Cynthia, but you know you can call me Geeks, and with me we have
Gavin Inston.
Pastor Gavin Inston and
The Black Knight.
The Black Knight from the political show on ActiveFM, where radio has never been better and Christ politics is
very hot politics.
Very hot politics.